Hey there, Nigerian ex-JW Speaks. I hope you're doing well today. So rather than just start already in the screen, I thought I'll come in while I'm on here and introduce the video for this week. I hope everyone's having a good week. I hope you're doing well. So I did a bit of vlogging this week, and so I thought I'll film a couple of other things that have been happening around, and I will insert them in here. Let me know if you like that type of video, if you like that type of stuff, and I can do more of that. So just a bit more of myself, because why not? We're friends here. So I'm going to insert that, and we're going to come back and talk about the topic for today, which is anthems, flags, all of that good stuff. Okay, speak to you soon. So, hey there, good morning. Well, it's the last bit of the morning. Yeah. I don't know if I want to show this guy's face, but I wanted to do something a bit different today. Let me try and hold this in landscape. Different to the usual sit down type, a bit of vloggy type video. There's something I wanted to show you guys in my garden. I think my son's going to lead the way. Okay, so first of all, just a sec. I've got roses, but some of them are doing better than others. So this one's like kind of dying off, but I have some others here. So different shades of pink. So there's that one. This one's a bit darker. I really love having these in the garden.
But even prettier.
And then some more over there. And then who knows? Yes, that's true. Yeah. Who knows what these purple things are? It's probably some sort of weed, but it looks really pretty. If you know what they are, let me know. But the star of the show is my son's handiwork. This little guy, so he's gonna talk about it.
So this is my beanstalk. I planted about 8 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And
so he got this seed, from school, and he planted it in like a small pot inside, and then he overgrew it, and so we got it out and brought it out here, and my son officially has greener fingers than I do. There's this little spade, that's cute. We're back. Let me know what you thought about that kind of video. So where do I start with this one today? It's a conversation I was having with a friend recently, just sort of swapping stories, childhood experiences and stuff like that. So this is not a friend who grew up a witness or anything. So it's not that type of connection. But we were talking, and you have some memories that either you block out or you conveniently forget. And it just sort of all came back. And it's the experiences of being in school and being that kid who couldn't sing the national anthem, couldn't salute the flag, and couldn't take part in morning worship. Now, if you know anything about Nigeria, especially in the South, it's mostly Christian, they're hyper religious, they can't do anything without starting with prayer. And, if you're that person who doesn't want to take part, you are literally the devil. Let me move this down a bit. You are literally the devil if you do not want to take part in prayers. And so I have really bad memories of that time. I remember trying to wait outside the gate until the assembly was done, because that's when they would sing the anthem, say the pledge, and do worship. So there's that fine balance between, if you're late for school, you get punished. It was physical punishment. There would be this long sticks that they would use to apply on your palm. You'd be told to hold out your palm. Any fellow Nigerians here confirm this for me? You will get flogged on your hands. So where I would rather be sometimes late and have that done than having to go through the process of trying to get through the assembly and not say the anthem or say the pledge or take part in the worship. I remember at times being sort of called out and basically humiliated in front of the whole group. And I'm sure I'm not the only one with this experience. I mean, they have been banging on about witnesses not singing the anthem or saying the Pledge of Allegiance since the perhaps 1930s. I know it was in 1940 that they won the case in the US where they had the right to sort of do that. And that's just something else that they really had no business getting involved in. And what I'm going to go through in terms of the hypocrisy that they have even with this issue, it seems to be a pattern with them where they change their mind and they don't care who suffers from the decision that they've made. And how do you explain what you were doing before? It's same with their blood policy. I'm going to link that video on the screen somewhere. One minute it's fine to take blood, next it's not, then it's fine, then it's not, then you can take it in if it's split into the different components. It's ridiculous. And the bottom line is there are people who suffer for these decisions that they make. Growing up, school was my safe place. In the religious mess that was going on at home, school was a place where things made sense. And this could have ruined that. Literally, as soon as that morning section was done, everything was great in school. But just that morning, dreading going into school every day, because having to make that choice. Do I want to have physical punishment and escape the torture of trying to hide and not get found when the anthem was being sang and the pledge was being said, because you're meant to stay still as well. So it's hard to hide. Everyone's still, everyone's watching. You're meant to be in straight lines, and I'm trying to get in the middle, and sometimes it's just painful, and they had no business being there. It's upsetting in a way to think about how school was made harder than it needed to be, just because some people were on a power trip, interpreting something in some book that they have no business getting involved in. I was researching for this, and I have an example. I can't even read it out loud, but it's disgraceful. Where they were celebrating a black man, they've used the N words to describe it in this article, and with everything that's going on, that's such a triggering thing. But when they still had the golden age, celebrating how an N word had lost his job because he refused to pledge at work, and celebrating that. Can you imagine in the 20s, as hard as things were for black people, if one managed to find a job, and because of your ridiculous rules, you're making them lose their jobs, you have no business meddling. That is not for you to say. That is not your place. So hypocrisy, let's look at some of the stuff that's been happening. So in their 1917 Watchtower, the May 15 article, we have wording in there where essentially I will try and put a screenshot if I can. It's not the article. This is from JW Facts. So it's basically saying that if you are required to display the American flag, it should be a great pleasure for you to do so. Just in 1917, you should do it with great pleasure. What is the difference between displaying the flag and standing and saying the words? And it gets worse. So going to something a bit more recent. Just working back in time, up until 1972, I believe, to get an American passport, you basically needed to sign allegiance to the country. And so what did the governing body do? Because, of course, as we know, in the history of the religion, most members of the governing body are white, straight American men. That seems to be the group that God sees as fit to lead his group or something. And so whenever they have to apply for it, they found a way to make that okay. They had no problem, pledging allegiance, signing it on paper for something as trivial. Yes, as trivial as getting a passport, but you're okay for people to lose their jobs, for kids to be humiliated, bullied for the same reason. How do you justify that? What business do you have doing that? If it's a matter of choosing, why not let them choose? It's okay for you to do that when it's convenient. The hypocrisy, mind-boggling. And then even more recent as well. In the country of Chile, they have this national holiday, I believe it's September 18th and 19th, where they are required to fly the flag in public buildings, and otherwise they pay a fine. Kingdom halls in Chile, we have kingdom halls that are flying the flag. And guess what? I'm going to try and share this here. A letter from the government, from well, basically everything that comes down, we can assume it's approved by them, right? Basically saying, that's fine. It's a matter of conscience. It's all good. If they want to fly the flag, that's absolutely fine. And that hypocrisy, do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Mexico-Malawi scandal. There's a very good video on that. I will see if I can link it on here, where basically witnesses in Malawi were told something else to witnesses in Mexico for basically a similar issue. Witnesses in Malawi were made to put themselves through some of the most horrific situations for something that could have been resolved as easily as the witnesses in Mexico did. So again, it's just that sense of double standards. If they feel they can get away with it, if it's convenient for them, and for the people who are at the receiving end of the worst of their policies, they don't care how it impacts them. They don't care what sort of suffering comes to them. That's just how it feels like. And again, for things that I feel they have no business meddling in. Why do I say this as a channel that's focused on people living? If you're in that place of questioning and figuring out, do you want to leave? Think about all this sort of flip-flopping, the double standards, the risk that people have to put up with to class themselves as a witness, for people that at the drop of a hat, they will bend the rules to suit them when it suits them. Does that sound to you like something that a divine, unchanging God is part of? Just something to think about, and, free yourself of this thing. If that's something that you're questioning, take off the assumption that this is led by some sort of God. It looks man-made. It smells man-made. It acts man-made. So that's the point of doing this. Thank you for sharing my last video. I can see that it's been shared and it's been watched by a lot of people. I really appreciate it. I will link it here as well. So it's resources that I put together for witnesses who are in the process of questioning. And clearly, lots of people needed to hear that. And so if you want me to make another one of that, let me know, because I have had some good additions being made in the comment section. So if you'd like me to compile those and make another one at some point, by all means, let me know. We want to make sure there's as many resources as possible for people who are in that process of questioning, trying to figure things out, and just tell them you're not crazy. You are not crazy. Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about today. That was a real trip for me, just going back mentally to what that was like in school. And just how school was going to be ruined by this religion with their policies that children were being subjected to. Just imagine starting off the day like that and then trying to go in to learn. It's a miracle witness children manage to learn something. The kind of mind control that goes on in there when you're meant to be there to learn and be free. You're starting out with that's that sort of decision to make first thing in the morning. Do I get whipped or do I get humiliated? What am I going to choose today? And then you go into the classroom. You're still meant to keep on guard because, you're meant to be no part of this world, but you're meant to be there learning and you're meant to be preaching to them. It's just, no kid needs that sort of stuff. So those of us that made it through a childhood in this religion, give yourselves a pat on the back. That is something. Okay, I'm going to leave it there because I feel like I'm waffling on now and going on a rant. And I'm not against rants, by the way. One day we might have a proper rant, if I can speak. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video, give it a thumbs up. Thank you to everyone who's been doing that. Keep doing that. It helps more people see it and more people know that we're here. And I will speak to you on the next one. Take care.